Let's get it. What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode. This is your boy, Luel Fantroy, and I'm here with another melanated human being, creative, dope, um, free spirit, celestial being. I don't know how to explain to me adjectives and all that type of stuff, but no, but Johnny Cool is in the building, and I just want to let you know how I met Johnny Cool, aka Jupiter Black, up in the building. A DJ, artist, performer, just a fashion designer. You know, you do it all. Like you remind me of cut from the same cloth as I call it Yeezy, and stuff like that, and all kinds of like mixed with Prince, mixed with the old like I can't wait to get to connect and ask more questions about you because you embody so many things that like even your latest song Warp Speed that you just released just gave me the chills, made me feel good. You channeled the sounds of my favorite frequencies, like my favorite sounds and tones, and of like the 80s mixed with just that synth and rock, and it just that distortion, that vinyl feel raw. I just love it. It reminds me of Tape Day. Like I just love it. It's beautiful. All that to say, I'm with Johnny Cool, and Johnny Cool is gonna tell you, you know, what he about and who he is. And also I connected with this brother. He's here locally, but I connected with this brother on the ground, and I saw his creativity, and I vibrate to those people who are just beaming, shining light, being that dope spirit. Anyway, all that to
Well,
say,
well, first of all, I appreciate it, man. It's so kind. I don't even know what to say next besides shoot. Like, so y'all about myself. I'm Johnny Cool. Born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Coming out of a cool area of Northeast Portland, which is the black area of Portland. The last of us, and I'm a multi, I would say, disciplinary artist because I put discipline into all the arts that I try. Everything I try,
mm,
at least discipline myself to my standard of
mm,
what I like. And if it's not me showing you, it's not ready yet.
mm,
So, I come from a family of like just I guess disciplined artists. My dad and my mom. She when she was here, she was always practicing. She was a soul singer, and she had a band. She sung like Supreme covers and
mm.
Natalie Cole. She kind of looked like Aretha Franklin too. Everybody would always say, and she sung like her. She was like a real good example of like she'd always put her art first. She'd be like, "Mom works at Safeway, but Mom is still a singer. Mom work at the bank, but she's working at the bank, but she always let me know that she's a singer, and so she'll you know put her rehearsals at a high priority. And so my dad. My dad was in multiple bands. He was on tour since he was like a teenager. So
Wow,
he's a keyboard player. Him and my late uncle Johnny were like a keyboard playing duo, and
wow,
all around town, everybody would know about them. Like my dad was on tour with the Stylistics when he was 14, and so he played with Sticks. They went on tour with Sticks.
wow.
He was in a country band. My dad was in a rock band, jazz band, all types of things. But the coolest thing was he was in an SOS band. I could brag about that. Like my dad was in an SOS band. That was cool.
Wow, that's dope.
You gotta love that band. Love that music. And he was
Dang.
Miles Davis's roadie. So he had a thing about him which like the quality. Everybody would always come to me, or like older guys like your dad or your uncle or your mom. They are great because they just practice so much. And even I didn't start music until I was 20, so I wasn't like growing up
Wow.
on a keyboard or nothing like that. I started after high school actually,
So you started,
and
so you started in 20. You would think you would start like, yeah, from age 8. Your parents being straight musicians, like soul.
yeah, the only thing I really kind of had since I was a child was I used to draw. I mean, I always drew. I still draw. Like that when I was about 5 and 6 was when I was doing like observation art. I was por- portraits and
Mm.
I would do still art, and it would look so great. Like I was, like my dad would say, like, you draw like a grown man. You know, I don't. Sometimes I don't believe you drew it because it was like so detailed. You know, and that was like my alien stage of like not talking to people but just drawing. And I'm like, look at that person, like I can draw him. He has simple shapes in his face. You know, like that's cool. And that's weird to think about as you're like 6 and 7. Like you're looking at somebody's face, like the shapes and how to draw them, versus like wanting to meet them. I'm like,
That
so
that's the
I just
yeah. That's a straight
and
up how you know you're a straight up artist.
and by the time I was like maybe 20, a little after high school, I was still working on music. And uh, I wanted to do more. Wanted to do more because people would always say, "Oh, you dress a certain way," and I did not know how to describe that. Music and colors and all these textures were so similar to me. I can touch the colors, and I can like you almost want to like bite this color of like coral and these things, and they were music as well. So I ended up getting a scholarship to the Portland the Art Institute of Portland.
Wow.
And because I have synesthesia, I have like a really thick case, which allowed me to take to use that scholarship for any class, any course at that school. So I chose
You said you
film
what
and
you had
direction,
what?
synesthesia.
What's that?
So so synesthesia is how you would pretty much like the title of like, oh, people who see sounds. And
Mm.
um, your senses are kind of combined in a way where your some people may react to sound as, oh, like your shirt's too loud, man. You know, that's a form of synesthesia. That's saying like your outfit's too bright. You know, that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, or we know that colors don't have a volume, and so there's just certain things where like directors have it really hard because they're like maybe hearing the music and they are picturing the scene. They're like, oh man, if you're around an artist or a rapper and they hear the song, they're finished with it, and they're already talking about like the video has to be black and white. I'm in the city, uh, and it looks kind of like grainy, like a film camera. That's synesthesia because the music is giving you a sense of like
Wow.
touch, and so that's what it gave me. It gives me all the time, and I'm over here like wearing out music that I like. I'm like wearing an album. I'm like, oh, listening to the College Dropout, and so I have all these like certain things that I'm remembering and looking for. I'm like, I don't have pink. I don't have anything neon pink, but I need it because it's a synthesizer that's driving me crazy, and I need to have that. Like if I can't listen to it, I need to wear it. I need to, it has to be around me.
Mm.
So I tell people like I'm really hungry for this color right now, and I'm like, I don't have like a shoe collection. I have all the shoes that like all the colors that I really need, and like that help go with other things. And I don't like all my clothes have to make sense. It's such a strange concept, but they're what I see. They're what I feel right now too. And I know I'm not the only one, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to use mine for art and purpose and
Mm.
to inspire if I can, because I know like there's probably kids out there who just don't understand like why is my brain so active, and I see all these colors and I have all these ideas, and it's literally as easy as
Mm.
starting one of them. Just
Mm.
start it, just do it, because
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna like I've never met anybody in my whole entire life. I don't care if you're in the NBA or not, who just started playing basketball and all of a sudden you was just so raw. It's like you gotta learn how to bounce the ball with both
Mm-hmm.
hands,
Mm-hmm.
bounce without looking, chest pass, bounce pass. You gotta learn how to do all these fundamental things before you could do it. So of course you're gonna be kind of weak. You know, when you
Mm-hmm.
first start, you gotta know that. You gotta go, okay, I'm new right now, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where the hunger comes in. If you're hungry to practice, then
Exactly.
that's
And
where the discipline comes
I
in.
want I want to pause you real quick on talk about because you spoke on synesthesia. Is that how you say it?
Yep, that's right.
And that's powerful for you to articulate that language. And I think I'm thankful that you're on this podcast because some like you said it yourself. So many people, especially kids, need the words to what they feeling, how their mind works, and how they can't shut the brain off. I got kids, I got sons, and I can sense that on them, and I see it on them, and even me. I never had words. The way you, even the word, that word, how you can see sound, you can see images, and a certain tone will create a color for me, or this, and color tones and palettes. Right now, I've been in a palette of just of black tones, and I'm love color. I call myself Laffy Taffy, because I love different colors. But I've been in a season of like, I feel like buried in the ground and kind of coming back up, and and I'm changed. I feel a sense of a change of color this fall, and I'm so excited for it. But what you talking about is so dope, man. I love what you talking about, the using your senses, using that your genius ability. It gave you a scholarship, and you say it's strange. It is strange, and that's what's so beautiful about it. Of making sure your outfits has intention, or your intention behind almost everything, and you got everything got to make sense. Man, this is what's beautiful. It's people like you, it's people like us who create our realities that we live in today. We're not respected, but
Mm-hmm.
it is.
And
We're the coders. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, we're the ones who successfully have our inner child like kind
That's
of like
it.
we have our inner child like forever growing and never never old, never there's no limit to it. And
Mm-hmm.
when you are like a carefree person, and in that matter of like I just want to create, and I could live free. I'm free from these other kind of traps and tricks and limits, because even when we say like I'm a grown man, I'm a grown woman, I'm a grown person, it's like grown is a word where you're done. You're grown. You're
Mm.
done. You're
Mm.
done. Like when we strive for things that are already like complete, like finished, like
Mm.
perfection, perfect means it's done. You can't be perfect if you're ever expanding. How can you be finished?
Mm.
It's like maybe the perfect life after you're gone, but right now we're thriving for things that are for when you're done.
Mm.
Like I'm never done growing. You're never
Mm-hmm.
done, and I can't even be perfect because I want to thrive and go until the
Mm.
limits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what helps me to know like, oh, I'm different from these other people who feel like they're like so grown that they can't wear four different colors. It's too much for them. Like I just saw some kind of meme with some guy. I didn't even not even a meme. He just tweeted like a grown man shouldn't be laughing out loud more than once a day or something like that. It's like do it once, and then by the second time you need to grow up. I'm like, who would ever say that? Like
What
like
kind
these
of
are these are thoughts that people actually
yeah.
they project and they express online, and and the world is so, like you said, cutting cookie cutter. So if a successful, like a rich man is, he's successful in the eyes of those who are materialistic. If he's saying something like, y'all need to grow up and stop laughing so much each day, people are gonna really start doing that, because they gonna feel like he's successful enough that I can listen to him. And these are
Mm-hmm.
these are kind of the idiots that we got who are running the show, who have no connection with their inner child and their inner self. It's
Wow.
like it's like these are leading people and misleading people out of their own gifts and talking people out their own blessings.
Mm. Mm. I love how you
Because they
brought
just
the inner child. Whew. That's so
because
true.
your inner child can't be neglected or forgotten. So you just always got to kind of grow up with them. And it's like, and it's okay to be like, hey, I know if things was bad in the past, but it's like you're the adult now that your inner child needed, so you can have this one-on-one with him and be like, hey, we're cool now, because I'm gonna need you and you gonna need me. So I'm just tall enough to reach everything we couldn't, and I
Mm.
understand that, and I understand the rules of why I gotta do certain things like work. But also, let's never forget our imagination, and because that's such a divine and unknown thing. Like, can't nobody
Mm-hmm.
tell me where that imagination come from. It don't come from your brain.
Mm.
Hardly it go through your brain, but it got to come from somewhere else. So I just take that stuff serious, because you just don't know. Like I hope like everything I lead up to is just like I could be creativeless. Tomorrow I can be like no more ideas. Like you
Mm.
did it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be so. I had to look back and go, okay, what did everything I create? When I was creative. Wow. So you just gotta really take that serious, because you don't know like when it's gonna stop.
That's real.
Anything
And I
really.
like how you said that because taking that serious, I always tell people to take the design approach, whatever your approach is, take it like never approach it like you grown, like you said, like you're finished. If you're a painter, if you're a musician, I always say work on a project or work on anything with reverence and respect. I never
Yeah.
like I look at stuff and I try stuff. I really keep trying, keep going is one of my sayings, meaning keep trying. It's not like white knuckling it. It's not being serious either. Keep trying meaning keep being curious and keep going being curious. Keep
I love
trying and
that. Yeah.
keep trying and keep going and it's like but like what you mentioned is that childlikeness and that never growing up, you know what I mean? And continue to like be curious and let those questions take you on the quest and always and like you said the imagination it is divine, like it doesn't come from the brain, it's divine, it's coming from like if you look back 30 to industrial age where we shut down emotions, where a grown man is supposed to just provide and put the food on the table, don't show the emotions, you get out of those childish things, the stuff that's running like all that does it's like putting blocking the light from a plant, and
Hmm.
man, what you're saying is so beautiful, and what you're saying is so continue to talk because this is really help.
That's
This
that,
is really
that's real because and then you have people who like like if they're a man in this cookie cutter kind of world telling you like, oh man, you need to grow up and not be so serious. It's like, but we will allow the comedian, the musician, the
mm,
creative person, if you're the artist, and we have these titles on people as if we're just born to do these things. It's like, no, it's like I'm not a
wow.
creative man. I'm a man who uses my creativity. Like
Thank
we
you.
all have it, but I'm just like you, but I use my creativity to thrive.
Mm,
And um, like I always use this analogy with an apple tree, uh, because an apple tree is like, I mean, it drops apples count all through the day, all through the seasons, and it doesn't care. It's not like these apples are for humans and these apples is for whatever. It's just dropping them, and the humans are the ones who walk by day to day and go, "This is not a good apple. This is a bad apple. This one isn't ripe." We're pulling them off the tree, talking about, "Oh, this is not a good one," and we either put it somewhere where it wasn't already. How can you replace an apple you took off? But the apple
wow.
tree is not going to stop growing
Mm,
apples. It's not going to stop
mm,
dropping apples. It's its full purpose. It knows it's being judged, probably. And a theory that I made up is that the apples that are rotting on the limbs are probably the tree enjoying its own apples from the inside. It's just
mm,
probably just like absorbing them because it's like we have to be that way. We have to be like, well, I design clothes or I help people do this, and it's just like keep doing it because the world's always going to tell you yay or nay, and that's none of our business whether they like it
mm-hmm,
or not because who cares? My
mm-hmm,
purpose is to do this thing.
mm-hmm.
And when you got men out there who are like, "Hey, bro," cause I got these like Converse that got like hearts on them and cupcakes on them. They're like design
Mm-hmm.
them. You could just customize them yourself. And so
Mm-hmm.
I saw some cool patterns on Converse.com. But I like, and everybody likes them except for like some men. They're all like, "Bro, you got cupcakes on your shoes, bro," or like, "You got hearts on
What
your shoes." I'm
it's
like,
the it's
I'm like,
the
what am I supposed to not have? Like, these are cupcakes are so you would eat one but not wear one. That's crazy. You would eat one. You put one inside your body, but not just,
the
but
most
not wear
intimate
one.
thing you can do is eat it, but you won't wear it.
And then judge a young brother for just trying.
Yeah, and I like
But
that.
I always like, man, growing up, always been a little, always had something artistic about me that set the difference between me and my like friends growing up. But yeah, I would say by the time I went to the art institute and just kept making music. I just never took a break since 20. This is my 16th year. I'm 36, and I
Wow.
never took a break. So it feels like I've been doing it all my life because I've never took a month off or a week. Even if I was sick, it's always like if I'm listening to my beats, I'm working because
Mm,
I'm always like they're not done. They're not done. I need it'd be cool to actually have a rap on here or whatever.
mm-hmm.
But I'm never, it's like I'm never taking a break. And that's where my discipline comes in. That's when people can say, "Man, you can make any genre." It's because I listen so hard. Like when I'm listening to Kenny Loggins or something like that, I'm not just jamming out. I'm also listening to his mix. I'm also listening to like I understand the engineer. I'm listening to like where panning is and things like that.
There
And
you go.
like that's how I was able to create Warp Speed is because like man, my sister is 10 years older than me, and so like when I was like 5 or so, she's listening to Prince and Dino, all these people, and whatever, and I'm just listening, observing, and those textures and that sound sticks with me, so I can like put it into my work. It's like it has I have to be disciplined in it, and
Wow. 16
I spent
years.
yeah I spent many summers not doing nothing besides like ripping songs from records and sampling and
Because you're a DJ
or
too as well, huh?
yeah, I DJ as well, and but mainly main focus, I guess, or main passion and drive is providing people with the right theme song. Like you need everybody has a soundtrack, and I always like if I'm working with an artist or even if somebody's podcast music theme song. I'm like, what's the mood? Like let's start with the mood and let's move on. Like let's start from there because we know what dark and gloomy feels like. We know what that kind of sounds like. We know what exciting and powerful sounds like and confident. We know what like, oh, I want like a grimy hip hop kind of feel. I could, once you start with these moods, then I'm just like I'm on it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I love to get creative, and that's why I can see where people are lacking in customized music, because we have to pick music from like these sound banks and libraries, and people
Yes.
are, oh, got this on YouTube. But the person who made that wasn't even thinking about you. They didn't even
No.
know. They don't even
No.
know you're gonna use it. So
Mm-mm.
it's like talk to somebody who's gonna, like let's create a mood, let's create a moment, of
Mm-hmm.
music, and it works out. So that's how I've been able to be a bit more successful and be, blessed to be needed in music.
Yeah. So you a sound designer, and you
Yeah,
create soundtracks and sound. And you know what's so beautiful is that I was like he's a before we got on this podcast, I say you a sound designer, and I said that words are powerful, and I said that of course you're a producer and all that, and you speaking on this and advocating on this on how like man, you don't know the music you grab, they didn't make it for you, but you here to be that solution and say I got you, I can make it for you, custom made to your vibe, your frequency, and your brand.
yeah,
And I think that is so fire. And I think that's important that people need to hear. The listeners, if y'all a brand owner, you own a business, think about your sound. Think about and who to go to for your sound. And
yeah.
you
It's
a
like
sound
buying a
designer. You a sound designer.
It's like buying a stock logo. It's like you don't want to just buy something that everybody already has and you just change the color of it.
Yeah.
But and also it's like you don't want to just buy a suit online and just rock it. Like you want to be able to like tailor it to your body more. Like I'm sure you just like, oh, the pants is large and the jacket's large too. That's it fits you. It might look nice. People like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's nice. He's wearing a suit. But then when you wear that tailored suit, everybody's like, oh, whoa, okay. I don't even know how much. I'm not gonna ask you how much that costs.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Because whoa, what I'm saying, you look like you be buying NFTs, bro. Like you just gotta once you do that. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to customization, that's like that. That's what gives you your identity. And I'm working with like these guys right now on their podcast, and it's a really cool thing they have going on. It's like mental health and
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's called For Men and same. They're just like I'm talking to them. They're like, I'm like, what is the mood? They're like, oh well, we older guys, so we want some kind of like Soul Train kind of vibe, and we want this. And I'm like, I can provide that because now I got so much information about them, and I'm submitting them a folder today with like 7 options, you know, and they can
Mm-hmm.
pull from that and go, we really like these, So I'm just like, let's build from that way because they're all across America. Elsewise, it'd be easier to just meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
And but just I love that feeling and like giving people like their own sound palette to walk around with and
Mm-hmm. It's like a chef. You just get to serve up a dish and watch them enjoy it. And what's so cool about sound is it just continues. It's forever. And
yep,
yeah, yeah, that's fire. So that's what you do. And you also surrounded yourself with other creatives. And I know you do shows, you do creative stuff. I know you out
yeah,
there, you outside for real. But you out there. you do collaborations, you do photography, you do video, and you talk about customization. You customize your clothes. You even have your own store. You take you like. I'm assuming you do some thrifts. You do some thrift
I do some thrift
repurpose.
repurposing, and a lot. I like to get also just like some really cool like high quality like varsity jackets, like the wool and leather joints,
Yeah.
and really because that's like the reason why I like varsity jackets so much. Not because I had one when I was a kid. I would wear it every day, and I remember like my teachers writing my mom a note asking if I had another jacket because I would wear this too much.
Mm.
My mom would tell me like, John, you should need to take a break on that jacket, and I'm just like, I don't know why. I'm like, I loved it, like
Yeah.
and then it got too small, I guess. But also going to high school, my mom would allow me to play on the teams in high school. I was raw at basketball. I was really good actually, but
Mm.
I love the fact that everybody got their varsity jackets in the sports, and I was like, you know what? Those made everybody instantly the cooler. You're the cool. You're cool. You're cool because you got one. You just got one, and that's
Mm-hmm.
varsity. That's colleges and everywhere around. All the schools around. That varsity jacket sets you to a whole other height of cool, where you don't even have to talk. You just like you show up and you be at a dinner table at like Applebee's in high school, and some parent gonna come up to you, hey, good job on the game or something like that or whatever. You're just nice, you're just popping. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought like giving everybody a purpose or a jacket like that, like give you a cool varsity jacket, a cool varsity look. That's kind of how it started. It's like coolest of all time.
I like
And
that. I like that.
coat, and to be the coolest is to be yourself to the fullest. And like so, it's like not everybody, not anybody, not everybody. It's gonna get it. So
Mm. I like that. That's fire. I love that story behind that jacket. I notice if it's your brand ID. Every time I see a jacket, I think Johnny Cool. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Repurposing that. And I like how you take fabrics and textures and repurpose. I call it re-original.
yeah.
And it's to re-original something. Take a thrift store shirt that's heavy, nice material that's been worn and proven, but then it stand the test of time and it still has that nice look to it. And I love putting like bleach in it or putting a logo on it or
Yeah,
just ripping the sides off of it. But yeah.
and because I noticed like being around folks who are like, I mean, I guess there's different kind of fashionistas or fashion folks. So like, there's people who are like, they can afford to buy the whole mannequin, so they're gonna see the mannequin and just buy the whole outfit
Yeah.
and just buy everything they have. They go to Compound or something like that and be like, I bought the new Yeezys, I got the 10 deep jeans and whatever, sissy shirt,
Mm-hmm.
Supreme hat. I, I want that whole outfit, and that's cool too. But some folks are just like, I like when you have a little bit of old, a little bit of new, a little bit of something, like a little bit of vintage in your look. It's
Yeah.
just like Portlanders, we just, man, we old thrift shopping all the time. We used to have, I'm sure it was the Goodwill bins, but my family, we used to call it the as is.
Mm.
And then the as is just like, you have to buy it as it is. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
all thrifting. So we'd always be like, oh, we're going to go to the as is and just see what we can get. And because you're not like, oh, excuse me, there's a stain on this blouse. You're
Yeah.
just like, you
Yeah. You
gotta
ain't.
buy it.
Yep. That's
So
that's the
it's just like,
casual Portland style. Yeah.
yeah, but we'd always be like, oh, this person got an old like blazer sweatshirt from like '92 or something like that, and this is like, that's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
And having that kind of element to your outfit, definitely it makes you like more like, I mean, you can, don't get me wrong, you can go out and buy everything brand new, today. You're just like, hey, everything I'm wearing, I just bought it yesterday. That's great too. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like when you have that little worn feel,
Yeah.
it's just like the energy into clothes. Like your new outfit don't got no energy into it yet. You
Mm.
just gotta be like, it's
Mm.
just like it ain't you yet.
Yeah. I like that. I like the
Uh,
way you look at that. That's fire. Cause I'm into fashion, and people would think I have a shoe game. I have no shoe game. I'm into silhouettes of shoes. You'll think I have, like you said, buy it off the mannequin. I dress. It's a lot of it's thrift store. It's my brand mostly. Like I
I
love
love
your
this hat.
style. Oh,
Like
you
I
like
love
the
this hat
hat?
you made. I rock this. I rock this
Yeah, I
tennis
like
shirt
I
too.
like that one. I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
forgot
the
about that one.
corduroy.
Yeah, that's the heart. Yeah, the
Yeah, the corduroy is hard.
yeah, I love corduroy. I got to get some more. I like those bucket hats you got. I want to do some runs, some bucket hats too.
Oh yes, sir. This reminded me, like speaking of like Kanye, this reminded me of the like his infamous like tweet varsity. I mean not varsity, but his jacket he used to wear like a
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That corduroy
the corduroy joint. Yeah,
blazer.
blazer. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
sports jacket. Yeah,
yeah. I forgot about. You know what? That's funny. I didn't even connect that. But yeah, yeah. He was sporting that.
it's
That
just
was fire.
and like when I wear this, I want to like instantly want to wear like my rugby and like my or something like that. Just kind of like it has like I don't know the coolest guy on the country club or or something like that. Or just like, but it's also very artsy too. I just like to always wear it like this. Just be painting
that's
and drawing.
that's fire. Um, Man, I definitely got to go thrifting with you just to hear you talk and talk about different stuff and hit me up on some of your styles and stuff. Because I can tell just hearing you talk, you see, like we both artists, but you seeing stuff, you articulating some stuff that I'm not able to find words for, and also you also seeing some stuff that I don't see, and I'm like, cool, I can get some of that coolness on me, and I know it'll like, boom. Because it's Steve Jobs. What happened before he went and did Apple? He hung out with this one dude, ended up being a billionaire as well. They was up there dropping LSD, and they got enlightened. And then I know it sounded like, but no, they did. They
Hmm.
went they went went on a trip, and it opened up his mind, opened up his consciousness to the point where he absorbed some of the dudes able to stand up in front of a crowd and actually demand attention. Steve Jobs lacked that. He was more of an introvert, kind of quirky. So it rubbed off. He got a little bit of that coolness onto him. So he mixed that
Wow.
together and he was able to now stand in front of people. So who you around, you can grab different, cool vibes from.
That's so true. Like keeping yourself around just like ones that you know. Like no matter where I look, I'm looking at something I can learn, or it's a good just partnership. Like my friend Money Rocket, he goes, his name is Josh. He has Bleach by Josh,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's one of my best friends, and he's just like being around him. He's always like, I mean, since we started working with each other, like maybe 10 and 11 years ago,
Mm,
he's just always been like multi talented and on multiple ways of making income.
mm,
Like even back then, he was like where he's on photography, he's teaching, and other things like that. He was on a paper route, so I was just like, man, he just made me feel like what there's so many different ways where I don't have to like figure out how am I going to make money to buy these new headphones or if I really want a keyboard. He's like, just you can get it. He made things seem
mm,
very reachable, and he
mm,
still does to this day. Now he does way more,
mm-hmm.
obviously. Now we're both like we're so big, like very busy. We don't hang out like we used to as much, but like we're always working on something, and I'm still proud of him, but always proud of other people I'm around.
Mm-hmm.
Just like love seeing my buddies and doing something cool. Like my buddy's on tour, Joey Badass, and he's just like, yo, I'm in Portland, and it's like, see, that's cool, man. You're
Mm-hmm.
just out
That's,
keeping yourself around. So now I'm like, I need to figure out how to get on a tour and
mm.
just be prepared. Run sound, whatever I'm doing.
And I heard your bio. Speaking of that, like, man, like, first of all, how we connected, I forgot to add this story. How we connected on Instagram, we connected, but then also I connected to your account, and I was getting these messages, and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's going? And
Oh,
I was
right.
like, oh, this is a scam. So I was like, no, this was some. He must have got hacked or something like that. And but before you got hacked, I looked at the link and stuff, and it showed your bio, and you worked with different artists and all that type of stuff, and you got yeah, big time some celebrities and stuff like that. I don't remember. I don't want to mess it up, but like yeah, let people in something like
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, like John Legend. I work with John Legend. Him and his crew flew me and another producer out to New York for like a couple weeks just to work with his producers on some music. This is
Wow.
like back in 2010, and before that, we got to work on a Kanye project. He was working on a Good Ass Job at the moment. We were just submitting beats. Me, I say we, as me and this other producer. I was like in a production team with, and I was always sampling master. I was always like grandmaster sample. Like that was me, just like, hey man, like the cleanest loops. And
Mm.
so yeah, so John Legend liked a song that I sung, and he liked some of the like. I was hoping that he'd just like take the whole song. It would have been great, but he wound up actually just like end up working on that project with the Roots, and just kind of went that way. And Kanye West ended up just doing like dark twisted fantasy. So it's like none of the projects finished, but the work was great, and working with them and mainly especially John Legend and all those guys like Biscuit and Gravy, those his producers and horn players. But worked with Rakim.
Wow.
He's liking two beats really hard right now. So and that's still in the movement because I'm just like, man, whatever his time is, I'm pretty sure he has it in his mind when he wants to drop something. I'm never gonna rush him, but I'm always talking to his pal, his right hand man, Pope, and I like he's the reason why I moved to New York actually. Ended up it's supposed to be a 2 week trip, but ended up being there for almost 3 years.
Wow. So
So
you lived in New York for a little bit? For 3 years?
yep,
Wow.
yep, and ended up like getting a lot of just inspiration. Just that's what Warp Speed came about in New York when I was just subway. It seemed so futuristic to me, and I had a whole nother version of that. Actually, it was like a lot. It was like slow. It was like a slow.
Oh,
Um,
it's way slow down of warp speed.
way slowed down. And just so many things came to my mind in New York, and being living in uptown with like a lot of retired jazz artists, and I, I connected with this guy Mike Clark, who's Herbie Hancock's drummer, actually
Wow.
drumming on Headhunters, and so he was like a mentor. I would hang out at his place, and he teach me how to like chant because he was really into Buddhism, and I'll just go there and just get like just be listening, and also like listening to him being on these phone conversations with record labels and stuff like that. And it was just really inspiring. And New York was real cool. All life is a movie, so there was like I went there on the sleeping on the floor, and then the couch, and then I got a room, and then just
Just doing it, but you got to
mm,
man. You went on a quest, and you got some Jews with you, some
yeah.
gems. That's fire.
Also
Yeah, go ahead.
prior to that, I lived in Hollywood with my pal Tyus, and I was with like Warner Brothers, and I was like the one of his producer, and that was a cool experience as well. Like got me into different situations, like with like Paramount Studio and
Wow,
BMG, and some big studios, and
wow,
Electric Lady Studio, and out in Jimi Hendrix Studio, and yeah, it was really cool, man. Just
that's cool.
keeping the same, and everybody has the same kind of idea about me. It's just like I'm going to have 50 beats to show them. I'm going to have so much music, and be the calm, cool in the vibe in the room, be the calmest in the room, be the coolest in the room. Because I'm just like, there's no need for me to even be stepping out my character to flex or to prove anything. I don't like. You need me to push play? Just ask me, and I got that. That's all I'm gonna have to be there for is to push play. I don't gotta hype up nothing, and so that's just what I appreciate about working with all them people and out of all the names is it's just they respect the creative vibe and they trust my taste. So
And that's
that was cool.
important for you people to know. And I'm glad that you went into that because, yeah, what you just said, they trust your vibe and they trust your taste. And these are people that's in like have access to different flavors. They have more access to different flavors than most creatives, most producers, most artists, rappers, whatever. But they choosing you. They choosing your vibe. They choosing Johnny Cool to walk in a room with a bag of goods and say, "Hey, press play." And whatever you like. And that's fire. And I got to explore more of your catalog. But once I realized, like, I think you put out, oh, no, it's my boy Chris put out, he has every Monday, he has a soundtrack he does or a playlist. He put Johnny Cool. And I was like, oh, he did music, does music. This is like a little bit ago. Then heard your stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. No, recently I heard your stuff more. And I was like, oh, this is fire. This is some frequency. This is what I can like zone out to, chill and get creative with and come up with more because music sound is huge for me to do. Like when I see I can see a movie, I can do video, I can do create something.
Mm.
But your music, yeah, when your music, I definitely listened to it. And I was like, boom. I found myself just going like, let me check it out to like just turn it up and just walking around and just vibing to it. No, I love it. I
Taking
definitely,
the beat tape, huh?
yeah, I
Was it
think it was the
the
beat
beat
tape.
tapes?
Um, Portland Zoo, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
Portland
and
Zoo.
you got your stuff playing on Portland Travel. Your stuff been constantly just going viral. Um,
Yeah,
man,
man, that's scored their whole kind of like similar what I was saying. Like they got some customized music for me too. So everybody there, they interview. I got to talk to the interviewer, the artist or whoever they're highlighting, and kind of just ask them like,
mm,
what are you listening to? Like, what's your theme song? Like, if you had a theme music, what's your vibe? You know, and some they all had so many different varieties of mixtures. You know, so it was really cool to come up with that music for folks. And sometimes I already had the music that they were looking for. I just needed to change the drums or
mm,
slow it down or something like that. And they're just like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is what I would like listen to all the time." So
mm-hmm.
that was cool
That's
to get
dope.
connect with them people and yeah, travel Portland and oh man, so many things coming up like Portland Fashion Week. I'm the music director, so I'll be scoring the runway again this year.
That's fire.
And
Um, I want to ask you this creative question about music, though, since you're talking about it, because you say you sampler. What's the key to sampling? Because I'm a producer, but I'm not a producer on your level, like for real. I'm like I do it for fun, and I don't do loops together, and I don't. But what is the key to sampling? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. Yeah, sampling. Like, you know
but to
that
me,
you say
there's
you're
a
the master loop. How to get that
yeah.
timing?
So there's like a to me there's a standard like of sampling like if your samples are if you choose to sample like a loop and your loop has like a little flick at the end or the
Mm,
beginning of it, it's like clean that up because it should be seamless. It should be a seamless loop. And also your drums are so much important for your sample. Like I like to sample around my drums versus like looping, finding the sample and you're trying to fit it because if you're sampling from like a live band, it's so natural that they're gonna be slower
yeah.
at each bar and they're not right on the metronome like you. You're right on the grid, tapping and and so they're like a live band, so they're like slow and then want to pick up. So you just want to make sure that you're adjusting the speed of your sample to the drums, so you're just like it just knocks and it feels so. It's just right on time. It's right in the pocket, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, I like so many different ways. Like I call them like the DJ Premier approach, where I'm like cutting these little pieces, and making them feel like, oh, just kind of chopped. Like I'm gonna show you this one a little bit. I'm gonna just show you this how I did this one.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna hear a little bit of it,
Mm-hmm.
not the clearest, but and I like it because I mean I don't even know I had this sample, so I just yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
that way I was just like, oh man, make sure my at least the samples are clean to the very end, so you have all these.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
but I had my drums going first because I'm like, oh, this that DJ Premier kind of
Mm-hmm.
and Guru, which allows me to like not come up with no regular loop versus like, oh, that's cool, like
mm-hmm.
there's like different ways of like yeah, just making sure that you have. I'm just gonna pick one that's actually just a loop, and I just started like kind of like last night, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just yeah, drums gotta be on point, and finding that drum that reminds you of the sample at least to
Yeah.
kind of like kind of. I got that from Just Blaze and like watching his studio sessions and like on YouTube. This was like years ago too, like
Mm-hmm.
2007 and 8. Like
Yeah.
watching Just Blaze in
When
the
he was at the
studio.
Just Blaze was at the peak. Yeah.
at the peak, yeah, and he's still one of my favorites. And
Hmm.
there's like,
Yeah, he's not that respected like that because Kanye kind of took a little bit of that shine from Just Blaze a little.
yeah, but man, the stuff that he does, I'm just like, he is a madman. Like just the way he does it. Um, there was also DJ Clark Kent, which I had the honor to like, not I can't say work with, but he kind of schooled me a few times, and we had communication.
Wow.
Um, and I got connected with him from my old music manager, and he would like, yeah, I would send him beats, and he would send me ideas, and he'd be like, no, yeah, yeah, no, I'm not, this is cool, tighten the drums up, or you're recording everything too hot, this is too hot, like turn it down, turn down the mix. And I think the last time we communicated, I sent him this beat that I made from Curtis Mayfield's sample. And he goes, I sampled that right for Mary J. Blige. And I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't. I'm like,
Wow.
which one did I even do? Like, I don't know. But we
Dang.
we've talked since then, like in person, but not like online and communicated. But I'm but I think my beat sounded really cool. Like, and if it was a Mary J. Blige beat, like, I don't want to be disrespectful and be like, my beat's better. But I think our beats were so different. But he's
Hmm.
just like, it's like, but you're not Curtis Mayfield in the impression, so you can't tell me
Mm.
what to do. You can't tell me what to sample. Sorry, brother. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're
Hmm.
I don't know, Jesus Christ
Dang.
or something like that. He can't. I don't think he has control over me either.
Clark
But
Kent.
check out this loop. This is just like a simple and seamless loop.
Hmm.
It can go on. Add some sound
I like
effects
that. Mm.
and
I'm loving.
other like
Woo! I'm loving
some
that.
bass.
Mm. Mm.
Different layers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo!
real
I
little
love I
vibes.
love that. I love it. I love that sound. I love that. That sounds so fire. Yes. That's what I'm saying. And you right. Don't them sound seamless, smooth. That's what I'm
Hmm.
like. How to speed it up and slow it down, timing, all that type of stuff. I was so like, I'm not messing with that. You
and, and
know.
and I don't want to ever like make somebody feel like they're not creative, but there's like, because when people confuse the music industry with like freedom of art. So like you can be as creative, like you can say I'm gonna make music that's not on the metronome, that's rhythmless and out of pitch. That's my art. That's totally fine. But when you want to move into the industry
Mm.
sells music. They sell music and they place music in places for
Mm.
money. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times those people don't want abstract non-rhythm, not weird pitchy sounds. They don't
Mm.
want things that don't really make sense right off the bat because they're just trying to sell stuff.
Yeah.
But like that shouldn't stop your creative flow. But
Mm-hmm.
just know that it's going to be a bit harder for you to sell it at the rate that like Lil Wayne or Drake or somebody that is selling their music at,
Mm-hmm.
because they have the formulas down
Mm.
to make and sell a song.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want to say, but I want my song to be like, I want my intro to be 3 minutes, and it's just all instrumental, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool, that's great. I'm pretty sure on your album people are gonna listen to it. But if you're like, but I also want you to stream my music, y'all. People are like, okay, it's kind of hard to hear, listen to your abstract art piece at,
Mm-hmm.
at first. But it's just like how you pitch it and how you sell it. And so when people come with samples that aren't looping right, or they're like not timed with their drums,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's harder to sell. It's harder to listen to too, especially
Mm-hmm.
like somebody like me who's going to be like, oh, I already know the standard of like looping. and it just has to loop. Like that's what a loop is. You can't see where it stops. You're not supposed to know when it stops or begins. That's just a loop. You're just like, whoa, whoa, you know. But if you begin to just go listen to that loop over and I had to compare myself and compare my loops to Just Blaze and know that his is way, crazy. And so I remember when I found out how to speed up samples. I'm like, how are they getting that pitch? How are they getting it pitched up? And so I think I found this like sample from this group. I want to say the orchestra. It's like the Love Orchestra. It's like I want to say Isaac Hayes' orchestra or something like that. And Just Blaze sampled them, and I looped the same sample. Like, this is what he did. This is the same sample. This is the same loop. How did he speed it up? And I did it. I did double speed, and I got it. But I understood that his was just like seamlessly looping, and mine was like block. I'm like, every time there's this weird pinch sound. I'm like, how do I get rid of that? And mine sounds so cheap compared to his because it's not. And it just kind of upped my standard, It made my standard go, this isn't like anybody else's. I don't want to do what they're doing, but I also love that quality.
Absolutely.
Like, you want to make it's just like touching somebody's fabric on their clothes saying, this is good denim versus like, this is some H&M denim versus some Levi denim, like it's just different, Man. And that's where you have to put your not expectation but standard. You just need there's a phrase called industry standard, which I actually got that stamp from Pharrell. Pharrell told me that he goes, your sound is industry standard.
Wow.
And I was like, from there I was like, I always remember that phrase and came back to Portland.
So Pharrell told you and said your sound is industry standard.
So you have an industry standard sound. He goes, and then he said the only thing you're missing is lyrics. He goes, you have beats but no words to any of these. And I'm just like, I wasn't rapping back then. I wasn't singing either. And he's just like, yeah, you don't have any words. He goes, these beats could be like for anything really until you put words to them. And I was like, damn, I'm like, did I mess up and just not have no no music, So now I have music lyrics, and so next encounter with Pharrell should be real cool. I'll tell him, let him know, like, hey, I'm one of them kids that just never stopped. So if you was ever wondering, you probably wasn't because you're busy. But
yeah,
I took it to heart. But yeah, having that industry standard stamp made me come back to Portland and realize like everything has to be better. Like I have to learn. I have to be able to pay somebody to master my music. I have to be able to find those sessions and find how I'm gonna make it better. And if you're not going to do that, you're not going to have a standard sound. Just like they say, there's standard instrument or software to use when you're doing certain things. Like you're not.
Yeah, like Adobe Illustrator, you got to have that standard, the industrial, and that's what made me had to learn some of these. I'm a self-taught person, but then at the same time, I know I have to enter the industry. So certain tools that I want to learn in order to communicate right to the company, because they can be they have to be in specific files for them to for us to collaborate. So everything you're saying is so on point.
It's just like you just have to. You can't say, well, my art integrity tells me I don't need to do this. It's like, well, then you can count on not getting any business. And you can have all the original and cool art and obscure and abstract art you can collect, you can make. You can have so many that you can't even count anymore. But in order to actually sell it, there has to be that little fine line of standard. And that's what made me want to sample way better. It's just like,
and I like, hold on, I want to go and grab that part when you look at Just Blaze. And was it Just Blaze that you was talking about, how his loop? You was talking about somebody's loop, and you took that same person's loop.
Yep, it was Just Blaze.
It was Just Blaze's loop, and you compared to it as a point of reference. And I'm glad you said that, because as a graphic designer and stuff like that, that's how I developed, and that's how I became. Because you're obviously looking, what makes people different and what's make their art expression different and take something invisible and divine like imagination and make it visible, and people like, whoa. we haven't seen this before, is the person who is making that is looking and seeing in places where nobody else is looking and seeing. And that's what I love. What you talking about is that you went and looked. You see, and you have a standard, and you are looking at people. You keep naming these people, and I like. Man, it's so cool here. You talk about this because I have these people of high here who are quality. Of course, you your original self, but you looking at them as like, how can I loop it like that? So what I used to do with graphic design, I still do it to this day. I go and look at certain graphics from ESPN, from Disney, from all these
Wow.
different places, and I look at how they did the LeBron James stats and how they did that on graphic, and I look at who's doing uninterrupted LeBron James Media Company, who's doing their little stuff like that, who's doing the this podcast that's $1 million podcast, who's doing the intro for that, and I look at all that
Right.
and I try to recreate that in my own way to try to get on that quality. And people will be saying like, your stuff, it looked like this. Your stuff looked like it's on ESPN. Your stuff looked like it be. That's because I'm constantly going to that standard and I'm challenging myself to go and constantly growing. I feel like a never ending, and
That's and
that's the fun.
that's that's so dope. That's amazing. That's it too. That's how you pull yourself up. You know, you're like, I need to figure out how to always get higher because I feel like they're doing the same thing. They're probably reaching back to like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like I'm watching Pharrell, but he's probably watching a Prince or something like that. He's like, how did you do that? How did you get that sound like that? You know, and so it's just like it's so important to do because you're just like you say it's nonstop.
And I want to finish up with this last question. I know we kept you for a while, but what is the difference between the Johnny Cool who started at 20 or started in this journey of music and creativity? What is the difference between the Johnny 20 years old to the Johnny now at 36? What has changed, or what,
I feel like I'm not afraid of stepping out anymore. I'm not afraid to fly higher anymore, and I don't need assurance from people. I don't need like people to say, "Yes, you're good," or "Yes, you can rap," or "Yes, that's good art." I don't think there's anybody who I need to like prove that this is good anymore. I just need to place it now, and I always take myself back to the day before I knew how to do anything, and that's like the most frustrating I ever was, and more terrified too because I dedicated myself that night. Was like, you know what, you're gonna do it. I got the software here. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. And I tried sampling. The first thing before I even know how to make drums, I was like, let's just try a loop. And I'm not afraid to do anything anymore, and my mind is more open. More genres. Hearing people's experiences and stories help bring my music to reality, and other things like that. It's just I'm a whole new. There's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of ego death, and a lot of a lot more common sense too. So. I signed some bad contracts back in the day too, but now I'm like really aware. I allowed myself to be kind of used by like even like Nike and stuff like that, and people at Nike, and taking ideas, thinking like, oh, that's it's just cool because I'm in. But it's just like they took advantage of some certain things. Like I know we're wrapping up, but I am part of the colorway inspiration to one of the Yeezys. Actually, the Nike Yeezys, the ones that had the tan and the pink and the gray.
Wow.
And
Wow.
because that was the outfit I wore, and the designer actually came up to me and asked me about what is the way, why do I get dressed the way I do? Because my pictures were up at Nike, and they're like, well, man, and years later, he's telling me he got inspired by me. Like, he's kind of tipsy at some like Michael Jordan party, but he's kind of telling me like, yeah, man, you inspired the shoe. And I'm just like, I didn't get anything from it, not even a gift card, not even a so, but I just like, I'm not gonna let myself be taken advantage of anymore. Like how young Johnny, everything was so cool, and everybody was on the same page, but it's not like that. So I'm wise.
Yeah.
You know, that's and if you try to take advantage of Johnny, then Jupiter Black's gonna come and whoop on you, get you.
I like that. You mess with Johnny, you got to mess with Jupiter Black. That's what it is. You mess
Oh
with
yeah,
Luell, you got to mess with Lou Dangerous. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yep, yep. This is really dangerous, man. You mess with Jupiter Black, you're gone. You're a
Yeah.
goner.
That's fire. Yeah, they do take advantage, and I even wrote lyrics about that. I was like, man, when you're young or something like that, you get taken advantage of you when you don't know better. So get to know you better, you know.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah, and that's the key
Bars.
thing. We don't know our value. But yeah, dang, you said so much. Especially I wanted to go in the area of the discipline. I wanted to go in there, the family of music. I wanted to go in there, your alien moment. You talked about. You talk about certain things that talk about the how you can touch color, you can see color. I still got to get that word right. The
Synesthesia.
synesthesia.
I'll send you a link.
Send
Yep,
me.
I'll send you a link about it too.
All right, cool, please. Because, yes, please. I'm already uplifted from this conversation, literally. Creativity as a human, I'm uplifted because the way you articulate and the way you shared a little bit of your life. And it's so much layers I can tell because I'm over here. I can sit here and talk to you for a grip because in different areas, because to me, you making a lot of sense to me. Now finding words and stuff like that, man, and what you explaining, and I also feel like not as other as well. But thank you. You know, this has been a dope. I definitely, as you talking, I'm like, and I love how you showed your work. Every creative have to just let me show you something real quick. Let me show you something what I'm working on, and I love it. But anyway, thank you for being on here. Appreciate y'all. Y'all go. How can people find you?
Well, I'm on the gram, Johnny with no H, Jonny, cool, Jupiter Black, and that's me on the Instagram and on the Instagram. Sound like my dad. Um, but also I got a new website about to launch. Just give me some time, but it's Johnny Cool Music, JohnnyCoolMusic.com. And
Fire.
in the meantime, I do have JohnnyCool86.com where you can just see what I have. I'm just dropping art on there and updates. So I'm mostly active on Instagram right now. So,
I
but
hear that. All right, that sounds cool, man. I appreciate this conversation, and y'all go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment and share if you feel
yes, sir.
uplifted like I do. All right, peace. Boom, 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 boom.
Peace, peace.